right, so every week I can genuinely say this has become my favorite video of the week. I absolutely look forward to people's questions because the questions that you all have asked me and posted, the variety of them is unbelievable. And it's really cool to see what everybody is interested in. Now, this week, I got a lot more questions than I can answer in one video. So I've got about, I try to do 5 a week. So I'm going to continue to do 5 a week as long as you continue to post questions. This week, I got a lot more than 5, so I had to just choose 5. So if I did not pick your question this week, please continue to ask it, or I can go back and I can circle back in previous videos of questions that didn't get answered, and I can include them. But just keep asking the question if I haven't yet answered it. I promise you, eventually I will. And if I see a question that I passed on a previous week, it'll go to the top of my list for the following week. These are my opinions. I am nothing special. I'm just a teacher who likes collecting sports cards. I like going to card shows with my dad. We like to text about it and talk about it and look at cards online. I like to watch videos. So I am not somebody who is, invested in a particular player and now I'm going to push that player. I'm not somebody who, has any sort of agenda at all. I've been here since the end of October posting videos like this just because it's fun to interact and it's fun to share ideas and opinions. And I just think that if there's anything that I could be doing that might help anybody, that is awesome. Again, as a teacher, I am wired to want to communicate with people, share ideas. If there's something I know or have learned that I think could be helpful for someone else, I have this overwhelming need to share it with people. And I'm opinionated. You can ask anybody who knows me for a long time. I have lots of opinions. So this is my opportunity to share those opinions, and they are just opinions. Now, one of the things that you're going to see in this particular video is a time that somebody completely changed my mind on an opinion from a comment to one of my videos. So I'm telling you, my opinions are not fixed. My opinions are fluid, just like everybody's opinion should be fluid on anything. We should be open-minded to maybe we're wrong. And I was wrong in an opinion that I had. And in this particular video, you'll see in one of my answers coming up, I share with you, I completely retract that. I do not feel that way anymore. So check that out and see what you think about that. But so give me your response to my opinions. And if I'm wrong, I'm open to being wrong. Okay. But again, they're opinions. I'm just a guy with an opinion, just like the rest of us. Please continue to post your questions down below. I will answer them in future videos, and I look forward to seeing what you all are interested in hearing me talk about.
Do you collect player runs? If so, who do you collect?
All right, so do I collect player runs? I kind of have mixed feelings on this particular question because I don't really think of myself as collecting specific players. I like to collect a variety of things. I collect baseball, basketball, and football, for example, and a lot of non-sport stuff. And I also do find myself buying some players, which I'll show you a couple of examples in a second of a couple of players I have quite a few cards of. But I really like just collecting iconic players. So I don't want to have all Hank Aaron's and then not have any Willie Mays cards, or all Mickey Mantles and not be able to afford Clemente. But to me, again, it's always about collecting what you like. So if you're a huge Cubs fan and you love Ernie Banks, then yeah, you should buy all the Ernie Banks cards. Me personally, I'm a Yankee fan. I like a lot of different players, but it's not something where I look and I go, I need every single Sandy Koufax that's known to man, or, as a Yankee fan, I need every single Yogi Berra ever, or, I need every Jim Palmer card. But I do have a couple of players that I do have quite a few of their cards of. So I'm going to take a second to show you those, and I'll talk about them and why I collect those players right now.
So, in looking through my collection, there's a couple of players I tend to collect. One is Julius Erving. I mean, Dr. J is just an iconic player who really changed the game in his style. Now, this is his rookie year card, but it's his all-star game card. So it's not his rookie card, but it's an all-star card from that year. I think this is a very affordable card if you're interested in a cooler Dr. J card. Looking at this one too, I like a lot of them. This 74 Topps, one of the things I like about it is it just kind of looks athletic in the actual shot on the photo. Again, I like the cards with the photos I like. It's another reason I like this 75 is he's doing kind of like this cool move by the hoop. And it's just like, this is what I think of when I think of Dr. J. So I like Julius Erving, and I like the cards that are cool pictures of him and really show off what he's known for. This one, I don't know, there's something about the warm-up there and the sweatbands on his arms that really kind of dates that photo. I really like the looks of this particular card as well. And then here, and again, another really athletic shot of him jumping up defensively. It's such a cool, iconic shot of, when you think of Julius Erving, you think of this dynamic athlete. But I'm a big Dr. J guy. Last week I showed off some of my autographs, and I had a Julius Erving autograph as well. The other guy I tend to collect a lot of is Jim Brown. And, anytime you can collect a GOAT, and a lot of people would say the best football player of all time is Jim Brown. And if you're not including quarterbacks, I think most people would say that. So, a lot of these are 6s and 7s, and the Dr. J, I had a couple of 8s as well. But again, for me, it's more about the look of the card, especially the front of the card, than the grade. This particular card, this 5.5, I really like this card. The blue background, I feel like the image really pops. It's really well centered. Nice corners. I think it's undergraded at a 5.5. I love that card. This one's funny. It's kind of well known for that kind of hoopty car in the background. Makes it kind of a memorable card with that photo. And then this last one, a really cool, portrait shot of him where you can really see his intensity there as he's looking into the camera. But all of them are in pretty darn good shape, and try to get well centered for the Jim Brown cards especially. So in this one, the main part of the question is at the bottom. The beginning is kind of following up on a comment. But the question is, what types of vintage oddball cards do you like to collect?
It's a great question, but I think it really comes down to what's your definition of oddball. I really like non-sport cards a lot. And I even like some of the more off-the-wall sports, not as far as the sport being off the wall, but less common sport cards. In a video I just posted the other day, I was trying to buy a Jesse Owens tobacco card. And, I think boxing cards are really cool. Like the old boxing cards I think are really neat. So I'm assuming we're talking about sports cards, because we're not talking about sports cards. I love the 1952 Look and See set. It's the same artist that did the 1952 Topps baseball set, did the Look and See set. and they're historical figures. There's anything from, Henry Ford to Amelia Earhart to George Washington to Albert Einstein. So I think that there are a lot of cool cards like that are out there. Another set that I think is really cool for whatever reason, there's a really cool Three Stooges set from, I think it was maybe 59, something like that. Someone will correct me. But there was a really cool Three Stooges set. I've got some Star Wars cards. I've got a Darth Vader rookie. I've got a Yoda rookie. I've got a R2-D2 rookie. But when we're talking specifically about sports cards and baseball cards, I don't have a ton of that, but I do like that stuff. I'm open to anything that is cool looking and it's of a player that I like. Now, for me, the image on the object, the card itself, is something that is a big deal. I like picking up cards that are cool looking of people that I like. And I like ones that are centered, and I don't really care so much about the corners. But you might say, like I've got a few in the early 60s, there was a Ted Williams Fleer set, and it's like all Ted Williams cards. And I have some of those. That's kind of an oddball set, I guess you could call it. But I think everybody's definition of that is different. But some of those, early tobacco cards, there's a few different sets in the 50s and 60s that went unlicensed and kind of went rogue and just printed some stuff. Some of those cards are really cool. I'd be totally down to have some of that stuff, but I don't really like look and seek anything that would fall in that category of oddball if we're talking about baseball cards. But if we're talking about non-sport, I think I have a few things that would fit that category.
What's your all-time favorite player baseball team? Not who necessarily do you think is the best player, but your favorite players. One player for each position with 4 starting pitchers and 2 relief pitchers.
Okay, so my favorite all-time team. Wow, that is a tough one. I went ahead and I went through the positions and I came up with what I think is my list. I always reserve the right to, change a little bit. Now, as a Yankee fan, you'll see there are quite a few Yankees on there, but there are a lot of players that are not Yankees too. So don't get too frustrated when you see a little run of Yankees in there. But again, these are not who I think are necessarily the best players at each position. That's a completely different question. But my favorite players at each position, the likability of the players at each position. I've got a graphic and I'm going to show you them and explain why, or a little anecdote as to why I like each of them. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
All right, so we have a baseball field here, and I'm going to run through my list. So starting off as starting pitchers, Roger Clemens was my guy as a kid. Growing up, my favorite player, Roger Clemens. So he is definitely going to be on my starting rotation. Bob Gibson. I love how intimidating and fearless this guy was. He'd just do whatever he wanted, and he would take over games and even series as a pitcher. Warren Spahn, to me, is maybe the most underrated left-handed pitcher of all time. I have a huge amount of appreciation for Warren Spahn, and I have to have a lefty, and I really like him for some reason. A more modern guy, living in Northern California, Tim Lincecum, during his run of a few years, was absolutely filthy. He was a lot of fun to watch pitch. Rarely would I watch a game just to watch a pitcher, but I would do that with Tim Lincecum because his stuff was so nasty. Relief pitcher Mariano Rivera, the best relief pitcher ever. I met him several times, had several conversations with him, and every time he has been as nice a guy as you could ever imagine. And the thing I like about Goose Gossage is Goose Gossage was a reliever who wouldn't just come in for an inning. This guy would come in for several innings and close out a game. Guy was a total stud, and he is still a common through the mail autographer if you're interested. Behind the plate, I got to go Yogi Berra. Rode in the elevator with Yogi Berra and his wife in a hotel one time. Nicest guy on earth. As a kid, the guy was Don Mattingly, and as a Yankee fan, Don Mattingly was the best player on the Yankees in the mid to late 80s. Have to have Don Mattingly as my first baseman. Second base, I got to go Jackie Robinson. All he did for the game, as good a player as he was. When I played, I was all about stolen bases. I played second base, so I have a lot of appreciation for the way Jackie Robinson played and all that he did for society and for the game itself. Derek Jeter. I know a lot of people feel Derek Jeter's overrated, but you don't get that high on the career hits list unless you are a darn good hitter. And met Derek Jeter several times. You'd go to away games and watch Derek Jeter signing autographs down the right field line when he is the biggest superstar there. He still signed like crazy. My namesake, Greg Nettles, has got to be my third baseman. Captain of the Yankees for a few years. Dynamite defensive third baseman, and was known to hit some home runs from time to time. Ted Williams, met Ted Williams at a card show when I was in 6th grade. Awesome guy, still have his autograph on a ball. I love the fact that he served in World War II and the Korean War. Imagine what his career numbers would be if he didn't miss all that time. Another guy that served, Willie Mays in center field. His swagger and coolness and aggressiveness on the base paths and defensively, along with being a power hitter. Love Willie Mays. And in right field, I got to go Roberto Clemente. This was a tougher one. There's a few guys I like at right field, but Roberto Clemente is the guy I'm going to go with. Another 5-tool guy. I mean, and he lost his life as he's serving a humanitarian mission just after getting his 3,000th hit. Huge Clemente guy. Spider-Man is never going to tear his ACL, and Pikachu will never be sent to prison. So what do you think about this in terms of collecting and investing?
When I saw Spider-Man doesn't tear an ACL, that one made me laugh. That was funny. And it's true. It is true. And one of the things that you do have to consider when looking at who do you want to collect, especially who would you want to be investing money if that's your thing. Now, again, that's not my thing. My thing is I'm a collector. Occasionally I'll buy cards that I'll turn. I've done some videos on some ideas on how in the past, I've tried to make some money from cards to support my card collection, habit or what have you. But for me, it's a really interesting question about the player not getting hurt or something happening like the player going to jail. So this is a little bit of a question where I might get a little long-winded, but I want to give you my full thoughts. First off, this is a big reason why I stay away from modern cards. Like, as a 49er fan, I really like Bosa. I really like Debo. I really like a lot of the current 49ers, for example. I really like Aaron Judge as a Yankee fan. So I like those guys, but putting too much money into them or buying too many of the cards, you can get burned. And, I've got some issues with the current state of, modern cards, but that's a whole different topic. to focus specifically on this question, which, so far I haven't been that focused in my response. But my answer is, this is why I collect vintage cards, is because I enjoy history. I enjoy learning about players and reading players. I really enjoy that a lot. And I have a huge appreciation for players of the past. And so, to this point, modern players versus former players, retired players, deceased players, you're not really going to get a lot of surprises. The volatility of modern cards is concerning. People who have huge amounts of money in Trevor Lawrence, or whatever current player is the hot one. I mean, a year ago it was all about LaMelo Ball, and now it's like, is it still? Like, it's just kind of, that hot and cold thing would stress me out. But at the same time, even vintage players, as time goes by, sort of society's opinions on certain things tend to change. And because of that and things we find out about players, I mean, there have been some rumors that have come out about different groups that, Ty Cobb and Tris Speaker were affiliated with. So is that going to affect their card values? It very well might. But I don't know. So I think your question is about specifically like non-sport stuff. Should I be collecting Pokemon cards or investing in Pokemon cards instead of current modern player cards because of, Pikachu's not going to get in trouble? I don't know anything about Pokemon cards. So I'm the wrong guy to ask about that. As far as superheroes, I don't think we're suddenly going to find out that Spider-Man is actually a bad guy. But I don't personally have a lot of interest in that. There are a ton of people who are interested in that. One of my daughters loves Star Wars. So for Christmas, I bought her a Baby Yoda rookie card, graded in a 9 by PSA. And so there are people who are really into that. As far as non-sport is concerned, I don't know if I'm really the right person to answer that, but I do think it's an interesting point that it might be a safer investment because of the lack of potential problems that could come out as a result of some of the things that they won't have issues with because they're fictional. So, long answer, not sure if it's really what you're looking for, but I think there's an interesting point to that it could be a safer investment for modern things to go with fictional characters because of the lack of there being some sort of risk of them getting in trouble or injured. But for me, that's not my wheelhouse, but it is a good explanation as to why the vintage card market is so much safer than the modern card market, in addition to other reasons as well, which again is a lot. So, interesting question. I think there might be some validity to that thought process.
I'm looking to make a splash with a big purchase of a card valued at $10,000. What card would you target?
Oh man, $10,000 to make a splash. That would be quite a splash. So I'm fairly conservative with money, and I'm fairly conservative with big card purchases. So I would not tell you to go out and buy like a Patrick Mahomes patch auto card that's $10,000. I will kind of give you the guidelines of what I would recommend. So I would say an iconic player. So let's focus just, for example, on baseball cards. we're talking about Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Hank Aaron, Jackie Robinson. That's kind of the group from that, 1950s. If you wanted to go back further than that, if you wanted to look at an iconic set of an iconic player, like, you could get a Ty Cobb T206 for that price. You could get a Walter Johnson T206 for that price. You could get, a Lou Gehrig card or a Joe DiMaggio card. There are some cards like that, but if it was me, I would go to one of those players in a rookie card. That would be the second criteria. I would encourage you to go rookie card, because a rookie card is always going to have more demand, even if I don't necessarily want it to be that way, as some of my videos have pointed out. People are always going to want the first card. They're always going to want the rookie card. So we're talking an iconic player. I would probably stay in the 1950s, personally. Iconic player, 1950s, who is a rookie card during that time. And again, for me, when I think of the rookies in that time, and you're talking about $10,000, you're talking about, I might push it back and include the 48, 49 Jackie Robinson rookie. I might look at a 1951 Mantle in a lower grade. I might consider a 51 Bowman Willie Mays rookie. You could get a pretty decent condition 54 Hank Aaron rookie in that price. Those are probably the ones I would point to, because if you're going to make a splash like that, where you're going to lay down $10,000 for one card, I think it's probably prudent to go with the rookie card, go with the iconic player, and go with a recognizable card. Like, I kind of actually, and this is a good opportunity for me to kind of retract something that I said in a previous video. In a previous video, I kind of ripped on the 48-49 Leaf Jackie Robinson card. And I said that I thought the 50 Bowman was a better looking card than the 48-49 Leaf Jackie Robinson. And somebody in the comments made a comment, and it completely changed my mind. Completely changed my mind. He said, "You don't get it. That Jackie Robinson is like an Andy Warhol painting." And it was like when Dorothy walks through the door and it goes from black and white to color. It was like light bulb went off. Oh my gosh, it is. It's like an Andy Warhol painting. I didn't appreciate the beauty of that card, and now I can't even believe that I made a video and called it an ugly rookie card, because I see it completely differently now. So an iconic card that you see it and go, oh yeah, I know that card. Now, if you're going outside of baseball, I'd say the Jim Brown rookie in a high grade is that's sort of like the grail football card, in my opinion. If you're going to go basketball, if you could pull a Wilt Chamberlain rookie, I would say that would be one that I would consider. Other than the Wilt Chamberlain rookie, I don't know if I would be willing to confidently put down 10 grand. I mean, I know a lot of people would say the Jordan, because there's always going to be the demand for Jordan. And you could see how much of a Jordan you could get for that. But that's not really my thing. But I would say like an Oscar Robertson rookie or a Wilt Chamberlain rookie would be the basketball cards I would consider. So long-winded, let me kind of summarize again. If I was going football, Jim Brown rookie, pretty much the only one I would be willing to drop that much on, and it would have to be a very high grade. A Wilt Chamberlain or an Oscar Robertson rookie. And then I would say the 51 Bowman Mantle, 51 Bowman Mays, 54 Topps Hank Aaron, the 48/49, depending on who you're talking to, Leaf, Jackie Robinson card. Those are the ones I would consider. Now, disclaimer, timeout, disclaimer, you're not getting professional advice right now. You're getting just random guy's opinion. Because remember, this is just my opinion. So if you go drop 10 grand on one of those cards and something happens, please don't be mad at me. Please don't come yell at me. This is just my opinion. But that's where I would personally go, knowing that anything can happen, and that doesn't guarantee that it will continue to go up. But if you're talking about a long-term hold, I think in 10 or 15 years, you'll be doing pretty well if you went that route.
All right. If you have questions for me for next week, submit them in the comments below. I look forward to seeing what you've got.